Hello? Hello? Is anyone in there? Hey? Is anyone in there? Oh, there you are. Oh, you're hiding on me. Coming up on a milestone. Those of you that follow me know I worked for the phone company for many years, several as a mechanic and then as a safety officer. And 20 years ago, diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. 10 years ago, I had to stop working at a job I truly loved because of my illness. Back in June, I turned 55, or as I call it, the 36th anniversary of my 19th birthday. Because I don't have birthdays. I celebrate anniversaries. I'm going to stay a teenager forever. So, 55. At age 55, I no longer qualify for long-term disability through the company's insurance. So I was given the option. I could take a leave of absence unpaid. I don't know why you would do that. Or I could take my pension, which would be slightly reduced because I was 55 and not 60 or 65. And I would retire basically on my 55th birthday. But 6 weeks after my 55th birthday, I would have celebrated 30 years of service with the company, because technically I'm still considered an employee, even though I'm on disability. So it counts as years of service towards my pension and everything else. And I was aiming for the 30 years anyway when I was working. Although I might have stayed longer when I got the job in safety because it was enjoyable. If I was at the garage, I likely would have retired. But I had another option available to me was sick time. I had accrued 102 sick days that I didn't use when I went off permanently. So I had the option of going on sick leave, which paid me my regular wage and not the reduced pension disability. So for 102 working days, I have been collecting a paycheck instead of a disability check. And the 102 days is going to be up on November 20th. Based on my calculations. So, in effect, November 20th, 2015 will officially be my last day of work before retirement. I kind of have mixed feelings about that because I loved my work. And when I left there, I felt like I has, just my work ethic, the work ethic that my Mom and Dad instilled on me and my sisters was such that you gave it your all. And when I went off on sick leave at first, I still felt like I had projects on the go that I had to finish. It's not that someone else couldn't finish it. It's just that I felt I had to finish them because I needed the closure on them. And unfortunately, I never did get that closure on those. And I still, even as recently as a couple of years ago, I was thinking, that I needed to finish those projects instead of leaving them undone. Well, they're finished. The guy that replaced me would have finished them, or my boss would have finished them. Somebody would have finished them. But it's all because of the way I was brought up. You know, my dad always instilled upon us that we didn't get hired to work for somebody. We didn't work for somebody. It was, even if you were an employee, in effect, you're contracting your services as an employee. You're contracting your services to the company you work for. Whether it's a big company, a small mom and pop shop, you are, being hired on is like them accepting you as a contract employee. And to keep the contract satisfactory, results have to come from your work. So you give it 100%. You do everything you need to do your job, and if it involves putting in a little bit of extra time or effort here or there, you did it. You didn't watch a clock. When I worked as a mechanic, we were done at 3:30. A lot of the guys in the shop on the day shift, they'd be shutting down their toolboxes at 3 o'clock, cleaning up and everything, and then 20 after 3, they're standing around waiting for the buzzer to go that says shift change. Well, sometimes I would be ready to go right at 3:30, because I would shut down, quarter after 3 or 20 after 3. But there were a lot of times that buzzer went and I was just putting tools away, and I still had to do my time sheet up of what I'd done right up to work order. It's just the way I was brought up. It's a kind of work ethic that it's not necessarily a great thing. It can be if you manage it properly. What I mean by that is, if you're working like that, you're working yourself sick, then there's something wrong. But you owe, the company you work for, my dad would say, all they owe you is an honest day's pay for an honest day's work. Don't expect to get an honest day's pay. If you don't, give them the work that they are expecting you to do. That was time and effort-wise. I could see his point. And my sisters and I, my sisters worked to that, and I worked to that. Almost to the point that some people that we worked with didn't like us. Because it would make them look bad. You're working till 3:30 and we're already going home and we look bad. Well, no, I'm not making you look bad. You're making you look bad. I'm making me look good, look valued, a valued employee. They hired me to do a job from 7:30 to 3:30. I did it from 7:30 to 3:30. For the most part. Evening shift, 3:30 to 11:30 at night. When I was shop foreman, most of the other shop foremen would be ready to go at 11:30 because everything was shut down, paperwork was done, and the buzzer would go, everyone would be out the door and gone. Now, I usually still had a little bit of paperwork to do because I just making sure everything was done for the next day. So I wouldn't get out of there till quarter to 12. There was even a couple times I was there till midnight, just making sure every last little bit was done. It's a good work ethic, and I think it's lost on upcoming generations, which is unfortunate. I don't think in a lot of cases the electronic age and social media has ruined work ethic. People will spend a lot of time texting and on their phones doing personal stuff when they're working, and they shouldn't be doing that. It should be do your job. I worked with one particular guy that he always was working on the side as well, so he would be trying to get everything done at work, and he was always on the phone setting up things and ordering parts for himself so he could do his work that evening or the next day or whatever. He was constantly on the phone. And it drove me crazy, and then the shop foreman or the shop manager, several of them had trouble with him. You're paid to do a job, not to do your own work. There is a huge difference. So, if you're young and watching this, take a close look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself, did I give my employer an honest amount of work for the amount of time I was at work, whether you're part-time or full-time? If you work 4 hours, did you give them 4 hours of work? Or did you give them 2.5 or 3 hours and then an hour doing stuff on your phone? Or visiting with friends or things like that? Just look really hard. And I don't think there's anything wrong with taking the occasional call, but if it's more than a couple of minutes and it's a regular thing daily, then there's a problem. Take a look in the mirror. It's your life. Do what you want. But I tell you, I've pushed hard for my kids to work to that. And, number 2 son is very much like my sisters and I, that he gives everything he has and then some. And number 1 and number 3, they give an honest day's work. But they don't, their types of jobs don't really lend them to being able to work extra time or anything like that, just because of the nature of the work. Kyle working, doing construction stuff. You can't really do much with that because he rides to the job site with the boss. He's on a crew, so when they go, he goes. Anyway, I'm going to turn it off. It's getting a little dark out. Take it easy and have a good one.